Okay, thank you everybody for joining us. We're at the end of a long day. The fact that all of you are still here, I'm very impressed. You get like a little bronze star that will stick on you. So thank you, and thank you to folks on the live stream. Oh, thank you to the folks on the live stream who are still here. Chairman Bowdre, why don't you do a quick introduction, self-introduction? You know, feel free to talk yourself up a little bit, or I can do it for you. Okay. So Chairman Bowdre is the chairman of the Miami-Dade Cryptocurrency Task Force. If you were watching the Fireside with Senator Cruz, he specifically mentioned Miami as, in some ways, a direct competitor to what cities like Austin are doing, what states like Texas are doing. And it's brought up this theme of, all right, what is the difference between state versus federal versus city level legislation and regulation? And so, Elijah, why don't you kick us off and tell us a little bit, is it state versus federal? Is there a competition?
Well, first of all, thank you so much. Thank you to the Institute, to everyone actually that's here, that are Bitcoiners, or blockchainers more broadly. There's no versus. There is no versus at all. That's the first thing I want to say. All government is local government. Right? So even the things that happen, especially things that happen here in this city, they reverberate out to the districts, the counties, the cities, to every individual citizen. I have been very blessed to be on this, I'll call it this Bitcoin journey since 2012, when I first came into contact with it, living in Shanghai, China. And since that time, creating my own coin, working with other people in Southeast Asia, and eventually moving back to America, and actually being a crypto evangelist, going to many quinceañeras and bar mitzvahs in Dade County with my government position, but also talking about this blockchain and this Bitcoin. So I've been very blessed that in that time, 2016, 2017, to about the pandemic, to have evangelized and converted many of our past county officials, city government, fire agencies, tourism board, or what have you. And in 2020, wrote the actual resolution for Miami-Dade Blockchain Board, which really didn't go anywhere until FTX agreed to pay $135 million, and I kind of really resurrected it. Since that time, becoming the chairman, going out to Wyoming, shouts out to Cheyenne, to Wyoming. We did our first envoy out there, and Wyoming was really the pioneers of blockchain and crypto legislation, and so we at Miami like to be calling ourselves the premier right now.
So we brought up Wyoming and Cheyenne, Texas and Austin. You've got Miami and Florida, Nashville and Tennessee. All of these cities, all of these states are vying in some ways to be the premier destination for the Bitcoin industry, right? So what type of opportunities exist on a state and local level? What can you do, whether it's in your current position or the broader city and state apparatus? What can you all do to make it better for companies to be in your city or state? And why is that ultimately good for the US?
Oh, absolutely. Thank you for that question. So I'll start by just backing up a little bit, providing some context. So I'm originally from Long Beach, California, but I'm a South Florida transplant and love Miami. But South Florida in general is a very important world region. So on the domestic level, it's about 40% of the state of Florida revenue. State of Florida goes back and forth between fourth, fifth largest state. It's always a swing state, so it's always pretty interesting, always in play. In addition to that, there's a very large, vibrant immigrant community. Financially, South Florida is the capital of South America and of the Caribbean. So you have this huge metropolitan international nexus. And so that is the groundwork that allows for a lot of these kind of I'll watch my words. I was going to say progressive, but I'll say advanced, legislation or policy allow us to do things. It's absolutely good for our region. The first thing is because there's a large population that do remittances. A lot of people who are not from there who call home and they send money back. So even before crypto or Bitcoin, South Florida was a hub for finance. So now, moving into the future, there's a lot of convolution between what we're doing as a county legislatively, and then what's happening kind of on the surface, which is culturally. And so Miami-Dade County consists of 34 cities. Right? The city of Miami is one city within that county, just like Miami Beach or Miami Gardens. So, but the county, because we've written policy, allowing some of the first to allow crypto for employee payments, also for acceptance of taxes and fees, and the next actual round will be I've written a municipal blockchain pilot program that we're getting ready to launch. And so this is at non-payments, non-finance side, because we're still doing lobbying at the state level, and then obviously here in DC at the federal level, see how those rules play out. But utilizing the technology, integrating it, just really sets it up for the future, so that people can use their Bitcoin, and access to the upside it has for the future.
Yeah, one of the things I like about this conversation and being able to speak with you is so much what we've been talking about at this conference has been from a federal perspective and how Bitcoin aligns with American values like, freedom, financial privacy, financial inclusion. And what I think is pretty amazing about our current system is that you can do things at that federal level that embody those values, and you can do things at a state level that embody specific values of your state or local, government's ultimate goals and values, right? So we've seen, especially kind of post-COVID, people are moving to cities and states that align more or less with their values. And I think the Bitcoin industry and the broader digital asset industry has shown that to be true on both a state and federal level. There are companies talking about if they don't get regulatory clarity, they're open to leaving the country. We've seen companies already do that. We've seen, in some ways, lack of regulatory clarity and lack of clear guardrails in this country keep companies out of the U.S. from the beginning, and then we're not able to regulate them as efficiently and effectively, and bad things happen. And I think you see that at a state level as well. You see companies moving to different places because they go, okay, maybe at a federal level we don't have this all ironed out, but at least this state gives me decent guardrails that I know where to draw on the lines, essentially. And so wrapping this up, I am curious whether you want to talk about what's on the pipeline for you all, or just broadly, what type of clarity can Miami-Dade and the state of Florida provide maybe that the federal government can't? And what do the next few years look like for you and your role and your city and your state?
Well, excellent. You're a very great question answer. Actually, I want to say that too. It's been flawless. I've got to take some lessons from you. Well, I'm glad you asked that. So at a national level, at a global level, I've been an expat for 9 years. I lived in China. I've been over 40 countries and done business in 11 countries for myself. After the financial crash, I was a banker working in New York, hedge fund private equity sales, and just watching the global reverberations that had. The U.S. being #1 in Bitcoin is a national security issue. I'll say that again. It's not a novelty. It's not an extra thing. It's a national security issue. From being hyperlocal, but like I said, with my experience in it and seeing where it was when I first started with it to now, and then now to even, to have written legislation or policy, and now to even be here in DC and give my comments in congressional hearings or what have you, the #1 reverberation for me is that we're running out of time. All right? If you look backwards, empires and nations can blink. They can blink. All right? American exceptionalism is not guaranteed. It's only guaranteed if we continue to guarantee it. All right? Hiding our hand in the sand or allowing something so revolutionary to be become in our partisan back and forth labyrinth is one of the biggest mistakes we can ever make. And so for me, looking about from my position, what I can actually do. On the finance side, Wyoming has showed the way of how to lobby, how to advocate your CFO for your state, for FinTech Sandbox, so that you can actually loosen some of the regulations around how you transact different issues with money seller's license or FINRA or what a municipality can custody. So that's something that's is ongoing. But what I did to two things that we're doing to try to not circumvent but to continue progress is one, this pilot program that focuses on the use of the underlying technology, which is the blockchain, and integrating that into everyday life, much like El Salvador wallets, but they did it right with the payments, so they have the pain points. But getting people integrated in technology makes it easier than to, once the finance question is settled, to turn that on. The second one, though, is something a little bit more ambitious that I guess I'll share here. And so we cannot custody any crypto. So the Miami-Dade County, we don't hold, there's no crypto person or blockchain person that's holding crypto. It's third party, right? So people can still access it. All right? We've been progressive in our policies and are just kind of been able to push and experiment in those things. But I just want to be very clear. So that will go on. But so if you're paying taxes and fees, you have to pay that to the state one-to-one, right? But there's non-discretionary funds that we collect, right? And so if you leave a tree in your yard for 6 months and you don't pick it up, and you get a $10,000 bill, that money is not necessarily one-to-one owed to the state, right? It goes into a separate account for the county. I'm writing a resolution to propose, as well as lobbying our CFO for the state, to propose that we create a special waiver to custody, to actually, I want to watch this word, not invest, but to custody, these crypto assets, so that we can participate in a larger of the actual upside. But right now, a municipality cannot, custody a speculative alternative financial asset. It's not in our fiduciary purview. I'm very excited about that. I love the right policy and stuff like that. So we have the pilot program, and then we have this kind of like bonus money, public investment fund resolution. All right, these are ideas, but also the cryptocurrency task force was an idea, and the blockchain was an idea that we're hoping to push it on. The innovations and the strides we make on a local level, we want to use that to essentially wag the dog, to say, hey, we're using it. And there's other municipalities as well. In California, they're putting some of their records on the Tezos blockchain, or in Texas, all the wonderful things they're doing. In Utah, you can put your marriage license on the blockchain. And Wyoming, they created the first public DAO, LLC DAO. There's so many things that are happening that are siloed because we're decentralized. But the number one resounding message is that we have to be unified in our message. Is that it's not if I like crypto or don't like, Bitcoin or this industry. We must move forward in engaging it so that America keeps its place in the front of technology. Imagine if another country created the internet or created the cell phone or the cloud computing, right? And America wasn't the dominant in there. It would be a different paradigm, right? And so that's kind of my biggest message, is that we all should be unified as we're decentralized.
Thank you for sharing. No, it's fascinating because this is happening in your municipality, and it's happening, like, these types of things, not specifically what you talked about, these conversations are happening everywhere, all the time. And so close us out here. How can people in the audience interact with you? What's your call to action, whether that's from people here or people on the live stream or policy folks, right? What can they do to further the work that you're doing?
Well, one, coming to events like this. So if you give a round of applause for this institute, the work you guys are doing. Honestly.
I thought we were clapping for the audience, so my bad.
Well, that's the reason why, information, education is the number one resounding thing. So coming together, being unified in our message. That's why we sponsored, wanted to be a sponsor for this event. All right. So in addition to being a crypto public official, I'm also co-founder and creator of the BitPoint, which you see here. And the BitPoint is basically our collective. It's a crypto info news show. But also, it's our mission is to to chronicle the phenomenon of this fourth industrial revolution, and report on the team, players, and projects that are decentralized but with a unified message that not just America, but America needs to engage in it, and we need to be supportive of it, and to recognize that no matter where you are, what city you're in, or what sector of it, that. That's why we have the institute, that we are unified, and to recognize that we are truly peering over the precipice of a paradigm. preparing to pioneer a new path, realizing that the physical world can only be accepted as first, and that our digital reality can no longer be denied at last. These tectonic transitions are caused by technology's position, with the prodigious potential to transform every tier in class. So we've been entrusted this vision, so that with prudent decision, we all may be multiplied by this immutable math. I'm Elijah Bowdre, chairman of the Miami-Dade County Cryptocurrency Task Force and a lifelong Bitcoiner, blockchainer. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Stay tuned for a fireside with Senator Cynthia Lummis. Chairman Bowdre, thank you.